set.
All set. Okay. Here we are again, beautiful Vail, Colorado. I'm here with my racing guide, Lee Andrews. We're in preparation for racing for the national competition that will be in New Mexico, Sandia Peak, from February 1st to 7th. We've been at a race training camp for the past week at Winter Park. Lee is my racing guide, and we've been training, pretty much trying to get my beautiful chunky body back into shape. It's a 40-year-old body, but I understand that life begins at 40, so that's what I'm here to confirm. One of the things that I'd like to talk about a little bit today is the whole philosophy of handicapped and disabled skiing and what it involves in terms of getting a lot of the disabled people into activities, into sporting activities and skiing activities in particular. Many people seem to feel the orientation toward disabilities or physical challenged people is to try to do a lot of the same things that non-disabled people do. I have somewhat of a different philosophy because of the fact that we do have different limitations. Just like every person has different limitations, we have to approach anything that we encounter, anything that we challenge from a unique perspective, a different perspective. Therefore, in skiing, for example, what I must do in skiing is pay a lot of attention to my senses, paying a lot of attention to kinesiology, how I feel, my sense of balance. Perhaps more significantly, more so than the non-disabled person, the non-visually impaired person, who would perhaps rely more on visual information of how he would learn or approach skiing. My philosophy has a lot to do with, as disabled people, we not only have unique sets of limitations, but we also have unique sets of strengths. We have unique sets of abilities and capabilities. We can only tap these resources and develop these resources when we approach life in general and sporting activities in particular with a creative and a very positive attitude. And to enhance this positive attitude, communication comes from both sets of people, the non-disabled and the disabled population, where there is encouragement to get together and to be together, to ski together and have fun together. And I think my racing guide here, Lee, we've been together for a short time now, a little while, and I think he has become very aware of this. Lee, how do you feel about all of this disabled skiing, and has it taught you anything new? Has it given you any new perspectives on skiing and relationships in general?
It certainly has, Brian. As a representative of the Winter Park Handicapped Skiing Program, I, as a guide for blind racers, have really noticed the sensibility, the awareness, the physical enduring capabilities of handicapped racers and recreational skiers. I've drawn quite a bit closer to Brian during this whole training session that we have been working in. And I find it to be quite rewarding. I'm getting quite a bit of reward out of it. And it's a real thrill for me to be a part of this. And I love skiing. I think skiing is for everybody.
You were talking before about adding a new dimension to your skiing. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure, Brian. I have been skiing for about 15 years, and although I love skiing and the sport, I have become not bored, but let's say less excited about recreational skiing. Although I do enjoy it, I felt I was becoming less interested with the whole sport. So to kind of rekindle the fire, I motivated myself to become part of the handicap program and become an instructor with the program.
Very good. I'm glad to hear that. How far do you think we're going to go in racing? How well do you think we're going to do?
I think we're going to the Olympics in Innsbruck, Austria next year. We're shooting for the 88, or 87? 88. 88, 88 handicap Winter Olympics. Looking forward to it.
Then on to Calgary, right?
then on to Calgary to give the real world some of this exposure to handicap skiing.
One of the things that I've been emphasizing in the development of these resources to adapt creatively and successfully to a limitation. To give an example of the kinds of other resources other than just balance and kinesiology, but for myself, for example, having very restricted vision, I have to use a mental ability of interpolation a lot. For me to be able to communicate at all with others, I have to communicate very effectively for me to get around. One of the other resources that you have to develop to adapt successfully to these kinds of things is a tremendous sense of humor, and I think Lee and I have been finding that in the last few days. We've been having a few laughs, right, Lee?
Yeah, it's been great. It really has. Brian's got a great sense of humor, a terrific attitude, and I myself am developing those qualities also. And we've been working real well as a team, and I'm proud to have met this guy, and I hope we can take it as far as it'll go.
Come on, you're talking too much. Let's go skiing.
Okay, let's do it.
I always have trouble putting my gloves on, too. I have more trouble with this. Down.
Got it.
Okay. Okay.
Stop, Brian! Stop! 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 Stop, Brian. Let's go. Yeah, just follow me. You got me?
Yeah. Go
Okay,
ahead.
here we go.
Go ahead.
Stop, Brian.
I saw you grab it, but I couldn't find it.
There wasn't really much there, but... Stop, Brian. Stop. Stop, Brian.
Here we are at the conclusion of another day again. It's about 3:30. We had a pretty good day training here. Unfortunately, this hot shot here has been partying a little last night, so I have to carry him to the bar now. What's the matter with you? You gotta get some more energy in you, huh?
I think I need a beer.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. Okay, one of the things I'd like to talk about in conclusion too is I would like to emphasize the fact that everyone I have met, with the exception of absolutely no one, everyone I have met that has guided me, that has worked with me, who has worked together with me, has enjoyed this program, has enjoyed this concept of physically challenged skiing so much to the point that they have in some way expressed a willingness and a desire to get more involved. So one of the things that I want to emphasize, my purpose in trying to make it to the Olympics is to enhance my visibility, to enhance my exposure, to continue doing this so that most and all physically challenged people in some way can benefit. It's a wonderful concept, it's a great idea. I've been involved in direct rehabilitation, I've been involved in direct mental health services and counseling, and I can say that the concept of physical activities, of physical athletics is superior to enhancing and to enriching not only the physically challenged life, but everyone's as well. Thank you.
Are you ready to ski?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's ski off.
What do you want to ski?
Straight down. Let's go. Let's film it.
Could I put my sunglasses on here? Goggles?
Let's grab your poles. Let's just take off.
Where are they?
You there? As well?
Yep.
Here.
What's the other one? Okay, let's go.
Ready?
Yep, let's go. Go on, pal.
So I mean, it's a huge engine. So I put one of his hands on the center nose dome, and his other hand on the outside of the engine. I said, "Here's the engine. Here's half the engine size." You know. Then we walked down the side. And here's the inlet guide vane. Here's this. Here's the generator. And I didn't realize it was going to have such an effect.
You taught him too much.
But you know, I think it's we're both trouble in the toilet. They call it blue water, but it's you know, it kind of smells like a deodorant you use it in your toilet. And I'm like, grabbing blankets. I had a couple on my lap, and I'd throw them down on the ground. I'm yelling for the flight attendant to go get some more blankets. Well, the way the airplane sits on the ground, it sits a little nose low, and it's all running in towards the cockpit. Well, I mean, if it ever got up there, the airplane is not going to fly for about 2 weeks to a month because they have to go through everything if it gets into electronics. So I said, open the cockpit door. I didn't have my key with me. Open. And so she opens the door. I'm running there and we're throwing these blankets all over the place. And we used about 100 blankets up. Well, I mean, 30 years of flying, I've never seen anything like that, quite like that. And so I'm like, wow, this is really weird. Well, they shut down Chicago Airport about the same time because of thunderstorms and lightning for about 2 hours. And I haven't seen that either much at Chicago. But fortunately, they were coincidental, so they happened at the same time. But the end result was I didn't get to Brian's house till 5 o'clock this morning.
So you're going to sleep through his speech.
So the lady behind me in the taxi cab coming over, she says, does that happen all the time when you fly? You know, she was going to Brown University. She was a recruiter for a computer software company. And I said, no ma'am. She goes, do they always have weather like that in Chicago? I said, no ma'am. And she says, really? You fly much? I said, well yes ma'am, I flew for an airline for 30 years almost. And number one, I've never seen a toilet overflow like that. And number two, I've never seen Chicago shut down for 3 hours because of weather. I said, but fortunately, they happened both at the same time, so we didn't get a 6-hour delay. We only got a 3.5-hour delay. The important folks are here, I guess. Everybody's here, maybe.
People can sit closer if they'd like.
You're welcome to move up to the soft chairs if you'd like.
Yeah.
You're welcome to sit up here anywhere.
Join us.
Unless you're worried about falling asleep, you can stay back there.
I am kind of worried.
That's my problem. If I sat down here, I'd be gone.
I know how to fall asleep with my eyes open.
Yeah. It's amazing the adaptive things he's learned, you know? He opened up the Texas Ahead conference by saying, you know, if anybody falls asleep back there, if you don't snore too loudly, I won't be offended. Because I won't know about it. Give me the high sign when you're ready. Okay. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting me to join you today and for coming in here. My name is Robert Hamilton, and it's my pleasure to do the introduction for Brian Hubbard. Brian's a pretty amazing gentleman. He was born with Usher syndrome, which is a congenital disease, and his version of retinitis pigmentosa resulted in about a 20-degree vision when he was infant, decreasing to about 2 degrees when he was middle 30s. At that time, he was quite active. A little bit before that, he was quite active in ice hockey. He was a very crack ice hockey player. But unfortunately, due to his limited peripheral vision, he kept having collisions that he didn't see coming. So he had to quit playing ice hockey, and he moved into downhill skiing. He actually got 3 Olympic downhill medals in the U.S. disabled ski team. Really proud of that. He has an amazing repertoire between athletics and other talents he's managed to bring up. When he was in his late 30s, his vision decreased to 0. He became totally blind. Virtually all of his life, he's had a profound hearing impairment. It's gradually gotten worse as he got older, and he's only able to hear through technological
Chairs right near you there.
aids.
There's a second one there. The second one is there.
He received his master's degree in clinical social work in 1975, and he founded the Council for Independent Living, believed to be the first community-based aids for people with handicapped and profound illnesses, to enable them to integrate in the community, become independent, more independent. And that won several awards nationally, including the U.S. Department of Education award. Now, my background is I was basically involved in technical things all my life. I was an engineering professor and various other things. And, then I had a severe accident about 8 years ago that in my case resulted in a pretty bad brain injury. I couldn't remember anything routine from my past. I had to relearn to walk. I had to basically learn to talk again. And it was pretty hard because I had no identity. I mean, I couldn't remember things from my past. And I spent 3 years trying to work on how to improve things. And I was very blessed that my parents and my life situations made me a pretty hard fighter, and I was pretty successful in most things in my life, educationally and physically, so I didn't give up very easily, and I had a hard-working attitude, which worked against me some of the time. But I found out that I got very little aid in many counselors and doctors and things. People just weren't telling me how to put my life together, how to make sense out of crazy things that were happening to me. This crazy life that was all of a sudden, from being a high performer, and then all of a sudden when I was 45, being turned into somebody that couldn't even give you a glass of water. If you started talking to me, I'd drop it. So I was very lucky that even though I was not given much aid, that I was able to come up with coping techniques that made me function. And then I went back to school. I ended up getting a master's in rehabilitation counseling because I wanted to help people that weren't as lucky as I was. And about 2.5 years ago, I ran across a copy of his first book, From Emptiness to Empowerment, Changing Physical and Other Losses into Strengths. Now Brian dictated this entire book. He didn't have an adaptive computer. He wasn't computer literate. And he did this to accompany workshops that he gave to clients and professionals on how to get people to take control of their lives. Now I've kind of had I banter back and forth with him about this empowerment term. That's a politically correct term, and I say, you know, we don't empower anybody. I said, they've always had the power. We just remind them of that they somehow have let other people convince them that the doctors and the therapists have the power. But, you know, we kind of make a joke about that. But, what it is he teaches workshops for clients, all kinds of clients. His counsel for independent living and his counseling and psychotherapy was primarily, most of his clients in his independent counseling were able-bodied people. So what he says in the book, and we'll be talking about a little more, doesn't just apply to disabled folks, it applies to everybody. And I'm going to try to cover that a little bit more. He's got a new rewrite of this book, totally rewrote it. It's going to be out pretty soon in publication. I've read most of the chapters. It's a big improvement. I'm pretty excited for when it gets published. Now, if you're an able-bodied person, you say, well, okay, fine. I've got a fellow up there doing the introduction that's had this big handicap problem, and Brian's had many things he's had to overcome. But what can that mean to me? Well, for one thing, all of us are going to go through these kind of problems in our lives because everybody has changes in their life. I mean, that's the nature of life. Things change. Your body changes, your abilities change, your situations change. And when you have a change, you can perceive that as a loss. And that's one of the biggest problems with brain injury that I work with, is that many times in our lives, we're locked into thinking about the negative sides of things. And we don't look at our strengths. We're our worst critic. We always see everything we do wrong. If we do something, everybody thinks it's perfect, but we can see the one little flaw we did in this corner where we didn't quite paint it right every time we look at it. And one of the things that Brian does in his book is he says, you know, losses happen to everybody. Changes happen to everybody. But we can make a change into either a loss or something positive, or at least an opportunity to grow, if we have the correct thinking about it. And the correct thinking is only determined by you. And that is, if we get out of a negative mindset and we think about our positive things, our strengths, and every one of us has unbelievable strengths that we just take for granted and we don't think about it. One of the reasons I think Brian has been able to verbalize these so well.